So, good day everyone. So, this is the presentation of Group 2, the rationale for state intervention and public policies. So, before anything else, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Mary Anjoy Ilagan, and I will discuss the introduction of rationale for state intervention public policy. So, let's proceed to the introduction. So, when we say rationale for state intervention and public policies, ina-address nito yung mga issue na nakaka-epekto sa ating society at ito po yung panglahatan. Katulad nga po ng economic inequality, poverty, education, and economic equality. Economic equality, poverty, education, healthcare, and environmental protection. So, ito nga po yung mga issue na mahirap at imposible na sa isang individual or private organization na i-address effectively ng kanila lamang or on their own. And require po nito ay ang government action dapat. Then, so public policy nga po, nakakatulong po ito para may ensure yung lahat ng member ng society na magkaroon ng equal access and opportunity and resources and para din maprotektahan ang welfare of citizen. So, this is this 2020 guidance update, the 2016 case histories guidance, the rationale for intervention in regulatory impact assessment, IAS, the guidance cover, first, better regulation framework, interim guidance, existing guidance from better regulation, BRE. Second, Treasury Green Book guidance on rationale. The guidance discuss how the principle also generally apply to regulatory IAS. Third is applying the framework and RPC expectation, practical advice for providing a rationale and highlighting RPC expectation. And the fourth, linking the opinion to the problem, practical advice on linking the policy option to the problem under consideration. And fifth, manifesto commitment, what are the RPC will and will not comment on. And the last issue raised during RPC scrutiny of department, consideration of rationale, a review or more recent RPC opinion comment on the department rationale with a new case study example. So, ito pa hihimay-himayin natin later. Then, let's proceed soon to the first guidance. Better regulation framework, interim guidance, existing guidance from better regulation executive. So, ang better regulation framework or BRF or framework, ay ito po yung sistema ng government na ginagamit para ma-manage yung flow ng regulation at para po maintindihan na kung ano ba yung impact nito. Then, the BRF plays, ito po yung mahalagang role para makatulong po sa isang behavior and approaches na sa policy making beyond the government. And the better regulation framework BRF interim March 2020 described the rationale for government intention as a first stage of regulatory policy development. So, the guidance state, the policy development ay meron daw po itong dalawang stages. Ina-identify po nito yung first, ina-identify po nito yung rationale para sa government intervention at pagtataas po ng mga opsyon para po ma-deliver yung government policy intention. Then the second one is ina-identify po nito yung rationale ng government intervention at dapat sundin po yung book HMT, Green Book of Guidance. So, let's proceed to the second one.
My name is Cecil Hermosa and this is my report.
Treasury Green Book Guidance on Rationale. The guidance discusses how the principles also generally apply to regulatory IAs. So, yung IAs po, yun po yung internal affairs or yung law enforcement po. So, the Green Book is guidance issued by the HM Treasury on how to appraise policies, programs, and projects. So, meaning to say, to appraise means to give value or yung ito po yung nagpapahalaga sa mga polisiya, sa mga programa, at mga proyekto po ng gobyerno. It also provides guidance on the design and use of monitoring and evaluation before, during, and after implementation. So, hindi lamang po bago, hindi lamang din po pagkasalukuyan na, at ganun din naman po kapag katapos na po ng pag-i-implement ng mga policies, programs, or kaya proyekto po ng gobyerno. So, appraisal of alternative policy, it is an inseparable part of detailed policy development and design. So, meaning to say, it is inseparable, hindi ito nahihiwalay. Part talaga siya po ng pagde-develop at pagdidisenyo ng isang detailed policy. So, these options is crucial for policy development and design. Public servants provide objective and advice to decision makers, including the ministers, board members, and elected council members in public organizations. So this guidance is for all the public servants concerned with proposals for the use of public resources, not just for analysts. So ito pong guidance na ito ay para po sa mga public servants po ng gobyerno. Kahit sino po, basta naglilingkod po sa government, is may sinusunod pong guidance or may kaakibat pong batayan para sa kanilang mga isinasagawang programa, proyekto at polisiya. Kailangan mo na pong sundin kung ano man yung naroon sa guidance na yon or sa Green Book na yon bago po sila tuluyan pong mag-implement ng mga batas na nais nilang i-implement. So, hindi lamang po ito para sa mga analyst. Kaya po ito ay para din po sa mga public servants. So, the key specialisms involved in public policy, creation, and delivery from policy at strategic level to analysis, commercial strategy, procurement, finance, and implementation must work together from the outset to deliver the best public value. So, it means that this guidance work onto the different specializations, not just in one specialized subject, but onto the different subjects as well, like what I have stated earlier. According of the Green Book, Introduction to Appraisal and Evaluation, it notes that the rationale sets out clearly the purpose of intervention and should explain how intended changes in outcomes will be produced by the recommended delivery options. So, bago po maisagawa at bago po malaman ng kahihinatnan ng mga goals at yung purpose po nun is dapat clear nung rational na yon. Para saan ba yun gagamitin, yung mga resources, ano ba ang kalalabasan nun at last, at paano po i-deliver, ano po yung process na gagawin ng mga involved person or people dito sa isasagawang ito, kung paano ba ma-i-implement yung policy at ano ang kahihinatnan nito at last. So, dapat may clear po tayong purpose at dapat ma-explain niyo yung mga changes na mangyayari at last. So again, the next one is the proposal. The proposal outlines objectives for improving service efficiency, welfare efficiency, ethical distributional objectives, and providing social and public goods that are not provided by the market alone. So, sa tulong din ito, yung mga proposal dapat ina-outline nun yung meron doong kasama na mabe-benefit po yung welfare po at yung pati po yung mga ethical distributional objectives at yung mga nagpo-provide din po siya ng social and public goods na hindi lamang po yung market yung makakapag-provide, kundi po sa tulong po ng isasagawang mga programs, sa tulong din po ng guidance ng ating Green Book. It also emphasizes the need to maintain standards, address ethical distributional objectives, and ensure fair access to health and education. So, karaniwan pong mga ginagawa at mga ini-implement na policy talaga natin na alam natin is yung fair access to health and education. Napakarami pong programs na inilulunsad ng government regarding that two things na yan, which is the health and education. Market failures. So, meaning to say there's a problem because of the word fail. Of course, there's an absence of success. So, market failures are common bases that underpin the rationale for intervention, and one where there is an extensive theoretical underpinning for intervention. So, ito yung pinagbabatayan talaga ng karamihan, yung market failures. Ito yung nakikitang problem, lalo na because this is an economic situation wherein there is an efficient distribution of goods and services in the free market. So, ano nga ba yung karaniwang nangyayari sa market failure? So, meron dyang inefficiency of distribution ng goods and services. So, may failure pagdating sa pagdidistribute ng mga serbisyo, ng mga goods. At mamaya po, matatakal po natin iyon kung ano yung mga examples. So, the Green Book defines market failure as where a market is unable to function fairly according to economic ideas of efficient markets from a Green Book perspective, which looks beyond simply economic efficiency. So, this means the market is unable to provide satisfactory levels of welfare efficiency. So, meaning to say, sino nga ba kasi yung mga nagbe-benefit sa market? Sino nga ba yung nangangailangan sa markets? Diba, ayan ay yung mga people or citizens na nakaramihan sa atin or the public as a whole. So, pag nag-fail po yung market, marami po ang maapektuhan. For example, sa isang goods na yung binili pong goods ng isang consumer or customer is expired na pala, ganyan, or hindi po magandang klase, ganyan, yung service na benefit or yung service na nakuha po ng customer is walang satisfaction po wala pong satisfaction for the customer, means magrereklamo po yung customer and hindi po iyon good sa pakiramdam. Kaya yun po yung talagang sinusolusyonan minsan ng ating government. So, yung market failures po, yan po yung binabatayan ng mga rational intervention. At ito din po yung ginagawa ng solusyon sa tulong din po ng ating gobyerno. Furthermore, the individual incentives for rational behavior do not lead to rational outcomes for the group. Put another way, each individual makes the correct decision for him or herself, but those prove to be the wrong decisions for the group. So now, let's move on to the different example of causes of market failure. This includes the public goods. So, first one is the public goods. Many aspects of the environment can, for example, be described as public goods. For instance, the benefits of clean air. When provided it is unavoidably available to all, It is non-excludable in supply, and once provided, it matters little how many people enjoy it. It is therefore non-rivalrous in demand. These features make clean air impossible to supply on a commercial basis. So, first cause of market failure is the absence of clean air. So, sometimes we purchase different services, but we did we didn't achieve the clean air. For example, we are going uh, to avail the service of transportation, but are we sure that we are getting a clean air through riding in that public transportation, where where what where ben what we are benefiting from it is pollution, air pollution. So there's an absence of clean air, and this is one that they are considering as the market failure. So next one is imperfect information. Well-functioning markets require buyers and sellers to both have the perfect information about what is on offer and about the other bargains being struck in the market, that is about quality and price. So here, there is an imbalance of information available. So sometimes there's an occurrence of the not false information, so imperfect information, that's the term. So because this is occurring in buyers and sellers. Externalities. These occur when an activity imposes cost or produces benefits for economic agents not directly involved in the deal. So meaning to say there's an illegal action happening. For example, pollution not covered by regulation may be profitable for a perpetrator but impose real costs on others who are not directly involved in the market. And the last one, the fourth one, market power. This results from insufficient actual or potential competition where either sellers or buyers have an unfair advantage. It can arise from too few buyers or sellers, as occurs with monopoly and oligopoly among sellers, through collusion by sellers in an anti-competitive behavior.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Diana A. Hernandez, and I will discuss to you the distributional or social welfare considerations. So basically, distributional or social welfare considerations is referred to the examination of how the benefits and burdens of economic activities, policies, or resources are distributed among members of a society. Kumbaga, from the word itself, distributional, it means to share or yung pamamahagi ng mga kung anong benepisyo na maaaring mapakinabangan ng mga miyembro ng isang lipunan na magagaling mismo sa ating mga economic activities. For example, is yung mga serbisyong natatanggap natin sa ating pang-araw-araw na buhay. So, nakasaad dito, if a regulation has a redistributive objective or yung muling pag-distribute ng isang layunin, or if it's likely to have a significant impact on different groups, distributional analysis serve as a useful method to quantify the impact and strengthen the evidence underpinning the rationale for intervention. And in addition, distributional analysis serves as a help to the evaluation of policies to strengthen our logical basis of an action and to ensure that yung mga benefits na maaari nating matanggap bilang isang mamayan na nagmula sa ating pang-araw-araw na kabuhayan is shared equitably. So, policymakers often use these considerations to promote inclusive and sustainable development. And
Therefore, policymakers might attach greater weight to income gains or losses to lower-income individuals or households. So, dito sa distributional considerations, ang mga policymakers can make a possible outcome na yung mga low-income recipient is magkaroon ng pagkakataon na tumaas yung salary nila and then yung income nila. And these disparities in income levels can impact individuals' access to opportunities and resources. The second one is the access to public services, such as healthcare or education. Fair access for different groups of people to public services can be proposed on equitable or social mobility reasons, such as widening access to education. Kumbaga, dito sa access to public service, we are able to have fair access when it comes to education, health, or anything related sa public services. Specifically, assessing different groups within society to public services such as education, and these disparities can highlight areas for policy intervention. And number 3 is risk. A CBA or cost-benefit analysis will value the risk reduction to workers or the public using standard techniques. So, basically, the CBA is a systematic process na kung saan is ina-analyze sila in which decisions to make or which to forgo. And also, they lessen the possible risk sa mga benepisyong natatanggap natin from public services. So, even where the CBA concludes that the cost of the risk reduction exceeds the benefit, the policymakers may determine that this cost is not disproportionate, or kumbaga, yung cost of risk is not too small or too large, given the level of risk to particular groups of workers or the public. The other considerations. First, interventions needed to ensure legal compliance. So, for example, international or EU obligations may serve as a rationale for intervention because UK intervention would be necessary to avoid breaching international law or commitments. It also might be the case that existing international policy is not consistent with domestic law. So, based sa example, the UK may need to intervene or fulfill international duties. And when it comes to the actions required to guarantee legal compliance, upang matiyak daw ang legal na pagsunod sa kanilang regulasyon o patakaran. Dahil ang kasalukuyan daw nilang international patakaran ay maaaring hindi umayon or magkaroon ng pagbabago sa kanilang pambansang batas. And the second one is reducing unknown risk. In some instances, the precautionary principle could potentially be used to support a policy intervention where there is uncertainty about the nature and extent of the risk. So, this consideration may be applied to encourage governmental action na magkaroon ng tiyak na pamamaraan or actions in cases of ambiguity regarding the type and degree of the danger or in cases. Number 3, applying the framework and RPC expectations. And at consultation stage, the IA should answer the question, what is the problem the proposal is seeking to address? Departments should use the conceptual frameworks described in the Green Book to articulate the problem being addressed. Evidence should be presented as to the problem existence and its scale, drawing a distinction between perception and reality, where the two diverge. And the department should also provide evidence or a strong logical argument that the problem identified will not be corrected by market forces alone. So, in general, the proposal intended solution should be made clear by the IA or impact assessment through the use of Green Book frameworks na tinutukoy sa previous report, which is Green Book is a guidance to assess a policy or projects. However, it must demonstrate the scope and existence of the issue while highlighting the differences between perception and reality. So the IA or impact assessment should also present reasoned justifications on why the issue cannot be resolved by market forces, particularly if the RPC did not provide scrutiny of the IA at the consultation stage. Number 4. Linking the options to the problem. Practical advice on linking the policy options to the problem under consideration. So, once the rationale for intervention has been established and evidenced, the IA should then answer the question, how does each of the proposed interventions address the problem? So, there should be a reasonable expectation. A reasonable expectation that the intervention would address the problem. So the IA should explain how each of the options presented will provide a solution to the problem identified. Where the link between the problem identified and the impacts of the options is not clear, the RPC is likely to recommend that the clear between the two is established or include a wider consideration of options. So, policy options covered in separate case history guidance presented in the IA should be supported by analysis that explains how each option would provide a partial or complete solution to the problems identified. To sum up this information, the IA should establish the rationale for an intervention and explain how each proposed intervention addresses the problem. The RPC might suggest a clearer connection or more thorough analysis, and if there is uncertainty about how the options relate to the problem. So, policy options should be supported by analysis that outlines whole or partial remedies and balances the necessity of achieving intervention goals against problem solutions.
RPC, Remote Procedure Call, protocol is generally used to communicate between process on different workstation. RPC, ito ay isang pamamaraan para sa pagbuo ng mga distributed system. Karaniwang pinapayagan nito ang isang programa sa isang makina na tumatawag sa isang subroutine sa isa pang makina nang hindi nalalaman na ito ay malayo. Ang RPC ay hindi isang transport protocol, sa halip ito ay isang paraan ng paggamit ng mga kasalukuyang future ng komunikasyon sa isang transparent na paraan. Policy objective identify what is needed to achieve policy goals. Ito ay patakaran o kurso ng aksyon upang makamit o maipatupad ang isang layunin. Ibig sabihin, ito ay isang landas na dapat sundin upang makamit ang isang polisiya. Ang policy or patakaran ay isang kurso ng pagkilos na maaaring flexible o gumagamit ng tuwid na pamamaraan. Policy choice. Ito ay isang pagpili ng isang desisyon na tumutukoy hindi lamang sa kung ano ang nasa kasalukuyan. Ito rin ay tumutukoy sa kung anong mangyayari o mga dapat gawin sa hinaharap. Issues raised during RPC. Scrutiny of Department's consideration of rationale is a section highlights case study example of issues raised during RPC security of the rationale since 2018. Departments have not been required to submit consultation as the RPC, and as you can see, here are some of issues raised during RPC. Applying market failure concept to the rationale for intervention. Applying distributional social welfare. Consideration to the rationale changes to existing policy using evidence and economic appraisal to link the option to the problem. Market failure is the economic situation defined by an efficient distribution of goods and services in the free market. Ang mga pampublikong kalakal ay lumilika ng mga pagkabigo sa merkado kung ang isang seksyon ng populasyon na kumukonsumo ng mga kalakal ay hindi nagbabayad, ngunit patuloy na ginagamit ang produkto bilang mga aktual na nagbabayad. Halimbawa, ang serbisyo ng pulisya ay isang kabutihang pampubliko na karapat-dapat na matamasa ng bawat mamamayan. Ngunit hindi alintana ng mga tao kung nagbabayad sila ng nararapat o sapat na buwis sa gobyerno. Government failure is an economic situation that is characterized by an unsuccessfully government intervention of a market. Ito ay isang malaking kabiguan ng gobyerno sa konteksto ng pampublikong ekonomiya. Ito ay isang kawalan ng kahusayan sa ekonomiya na dulot ng intervention ng gobyerno. Kung ang kawalan ng kakayahan ay hindi iiral sa isang malayang pamilihan, ito ay isang mga gastos ng gobyerno ay mas malaki kaysa sa mga benepisyong ibinibigay.
Government failure arises when government has created inefficiency because it should not have intervened in the first place, or when it could have solved a given problem or set problem more efficiently. That is by generating greater net benefits. In other words, the theoretical benchmark or Pareto optimality could be used to assess government performance just as is to use to assess market performance. Of course, the ideal or completely efficiency market is rarely, if ever, observed in other from policy perspective. Market failure should be a matter of concern when market performance significantly deviates from the appropriate efficiency benchmark. Similarly, a government failure should call a government intervention into question when economic welfare is actually reduced or when resources are allocated in manner that significantly deviates from appropriate efficiency benchmark.
Government failure. This occurs when government interventions either increase the severity of market failure or cause a new failure to arise. This occurs when policies have damaging long-term consequences, are ineffective, cause more problems than solve problems. Ito ay nangyayari kapag ang mga interbensyon ng pamahalaan ay maaaring tumaas ng pagkabigo sa merkado o maging sanhi ng isang bagong pagkabigo na lumitaw. Ito ay nangyayari kapag ang mga patakaran para magkaroon ng nakakapinsalang pangmatagalang kahihinatnan ay hindi epektibo, na nagdudulot ng mas maraming problema kaysa sa paglutas ng mga problema. Market failure and government failure. The marginalist model of externalities is used to explain why externalities result in a misallocation of resources. This model looks at marginal social cost and social benefits to enable resource allocation to be efficient. By looking at marginal social costs and benefits, the government can decide how to impact supply and demand for a specific product, decreasing the marginal benefits. Ang marginalist na modelo ng mga panlabas ay upang ipaliwanag kung bakit ang mga panlabas ay nagreresulta sa isang maling alokasyon ng mga mapagkukunan. Tinitingnan din ng modelong ito ang mga marginal na ginagastos sa lipunan at mga benepisyong panlipunan upang maging mahusay ang paglalaan ng mapapagkunan sa pamamagitan ng pagtingin sa marginal na panlipunang mga gastos at benepisyo, ay maaari magpasya ang gobyerno kung paano maapektuhan ang supply at ang demand para sa partikular na produkto na nagpapababa sa marginal na benepisyo.